Okay, yes. We can, the turn a little bit later to discuss about more, but hi, Michael. Yes. We can start a new topics about the medical device or maybe the device, about the spec or about your understanding of the market. Yes, would you mind to share some context of your startup? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, SPECT, what we're doing with eye care and is more traditional, AI or machine learning, right? So we are looking at images and then using big data, being able to do correlations and causations. So more of image recognition, diagnostics, and that's nothing really new, right? I was like, this has been a well-researched field in X-rays and ultrasound, and then now with with Google Brain that published their paper back in 2017, it really opened up this new field of oculometrics, so looking at the eye. I think maybe what's a little bit more interesting for the crowd today is the use of generative AI, right, or LLMs, has been in really the natural language processing pieces. And so how do we use it to interface with patients? How do we use it to, interpret doctors' notes, right, that are very organic and not structured? One study I remember reading a couple months ago is really interesting. Patients, at least here in the US, send doctors, messages through email or through, online chat portals. And usually doctors respond with really short messages, and patients rate it really poorly because it's very direct and to the point. But they had done a cohort where they've used, ChatGPT, and the patient satisfaction went way up because ChatGPT a little bit more empathy in the messages, right? It's like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear you're having these problems. It must be really difficult. Have you tried X, Y, or Z? That said, ChatGPT messages were not necessarily always correct. And so I think the way that we're seeing it today is that it's still a question of like human augmentation, right, or human in the loop. And so using ChatGPT to formulate the structure, to write the emails, but still having that human to double check the accuracy and and the efficacy of the suggestions. So I think that's where where we've seen really a lot of these. Even just last week, I remember reading an article. ChatGPT is certainly learning and advancing very quickly. Last year was passing the medical board exams with like 60%. I think last one they did a month or two ago, it's like 98% accurate. And then, it's even passing specialty board exams now. So the ophthalmology board exam, it's passing that. And so it's definitely getting a lot smarter in our field.
Yeah, for Spect and for yourself, actually, I have two questions. The first one is, would you mind to share some stories why you choose to drop out of Stanford, start your company? And to say, I'm interested about that. And the second one, is here, I know Spec actually, we also have the physical device, and there actually already lots of clinics use our device. So I want to get some sense on your side for this kind of a hardware device innovation or this kind of startup. What kind of a challenge on our side or the because what? Because I hear lots of news say, "Hi, looks like the Shenzhen, this kind of, the China mainland, they have this kind of logistic benefit." So for this kind of hardware development, they say it looks like they can leverage this kind of benefit. But on our side, yes, do we have this kind of, the challenge on our side and how to deal with, address it? Yes. So two questions. The first one is personal topics, but the second one is I want to know more about the medical device or the device, this kind of hardware innovation in American. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I started SPECT. It's now been 7 years ago. I was working on, my PhD. I was approached by my other co-founder, who's an ophthalmologist. So they had developed the device mostly as a side project in the garage, and they had approached me and they're like, "Hey, we want to bring this to market. Can you help us with, engineering and turning this into a real product? So I was initially helping them, on the weekends and in the evenings. But at some point, company went through Y Combinator, and then company raised a little over $2 million. And so at that point, it was no longer a side project. So that's when, myself and my co-founder, we both, I dropped out. I was like, I took a leave of absence and decided to pursue this full time, out of responsibility for our investors. And that's, the rest is history. And then to your other question, hardware, there are advantages in both locations. Spec to date has still a very US centric supply chain. A lot of that is just due to, imports and tariffs, and then also being able to, go and visit and help debug our manufacturing, line. And so we actually manufacture here in San Jose. It's about an hour drive for me from San Francisco, and I'm able to sit on the line, the manufacturing line with the technicians and see them build. I think as companies grow and they scale, larger and larger, for example, like Apple or others, that's when it makes sense to move some of the manufacturing to, to Shenzhen or to China, or, other places in Southeast Asia now too. Is like, I know Vietnam has become a manufacturing hub as well. But you need certain volume to make it cost effective, because you'll still need to send engineers to the line to help with debugging, and to help with, getting things up and running. So I hope that
Okay,
answers
thank
your
you.
question.
Yes, thank you very much for your answers. Thank you for your guys. So let's go into the another chapter. Another chapter is about the community, about the leadership. I invite you three guys to on board for this kind of coffee chat because Zhibian actually is the vice president of CASPA, and Michael and Julia, actually, you are the leader in the MJAA. So